Hello, everybody. It's Elagatua, and I am here with mathemaat, math-e-mat, one of the three. But I'll let you introduce yourself in a second. But we've got HollowLogic and Tobias, and this is the first round of their group, and I am so ready for some more Triforce Blitz action. Tell us how we say your name.
Thanks for the introduction, Ila. I think all three are fine, but the most Dutch pronunciation would be mathemaat. But math is fine, math is fine. Whatever rules are your boat. Yeah, looking forward to doing comps for this race. These two are my group members, so studying how they play.
So, do you know anything about these runners? I've got a decent knowledge of at least HollowLogic. I haven't seen Tobias play too much, but he's the friendly TSG admin, so I'm sure he's got some home crowd support here.
Yeah, HollowLogic, of course, the number one in the qualification round. He managed to find the three pieces in the fastest time, so he's a strong opponent to reckon with. And Tobias, of course, one of the persons volunteering for this channel quite a bit.
So I think we're gonna get the race underway pretty shortly, but if you're in the chat, this is your last chance to get your predictions in for what the path counts are going to be this seed. I don't know if we still do like the bets for kind of how many it's going to be, but we see a screen here. Looks like we got Eponas and Spirit Medallions. So
Epona always a little bit scary.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting starting songs. Less likely that kind of Eponas will not be buried deep in the seed. So reversing to GTG, unlikely to get around any requirements, but there's always the possibility of kind of an out of logic crossing. And I think GTG, like when to go there, that's always a big decision in Triforce Blitz. And with that access available from the start, could be more important, especially if there's a few low count pieces, like in the 2 or 3 range. That could be a challenging decision.
Yeah, I've been crunching some numbers before the tournament started, and GTG has like a 38% chance of having at least one piece.
So that checks out.
So about 2 out of 5 seeds, GTG will have a piece for you. But yeah, we of course need a bit more for most of the checks in GTGs. Runners are probably just sticking to their familiar opening routes.
Okay, so it looks we're gonna get a medallion peak, and HollowLogic says forget the medallions. I'm just gonna look at the hints.
All right, what do we have? 16.
Okay, well, let's get comfortable, everybody. We're gonna be here for 2 hours.
Yeah, highly unlikely that. I mean, it's looking a lot like we're not going to find all 3 pieces, but who knows? Maybe we can cut a bit out of the logic chain by sequence breaking.
So I'm a little bit crazy because when I see seeds like this, I get really excited because it feels like the deck is stacked against you from the start, and it's like the challenge. Like, can I get all 3? Can I get all 3? Even though like it's pretty unlikely that I'm going to be able to get all 3, but I like the uphill battle. How do you feel when you see a seed like this? Is there anything special that you try to do?
I always like these high numbers. I think it makes more interesting decision making. Even a low numbers can also be good, but yeah, you really have to think about when you want to go for when you want to sacrifice the higher numbers for maybe go for that one piece that you can get.
Yeah, I think the time limit definitely plays a big factor in a seed like this because with something as high as 22, 22 in practice usually is going to require like Light Trial, Shadow Temple, and multiple 3 dungeon songs in the logic chain, just from my experience. So like knowing nothing about where anything is in the seed, like it just tends to include everything. So sometimes you might be inclined to just completely ignore everything along that path. However, in this seed, I mean, our lowest piece is 8, and even the second one is 16. So kind of everything has to be on all the paths. Like there can't really be that much divergence, and so like you kind of want to abandon the 22, but at the same time, I think there's a limit as to how much you can avoid it, simply because you know, it seems like there's a good chance that everything is just totally linear this seed.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I think my personal strategy would be to make sure I reach the courage piece first, and then hope that's going to be enough, because even the second piece is not guaranteed to be found.
Yeah, and so looking at our medallions here, so a good way to think about a seed that is this deep is to kind of think about what's the catch, right? So like what is the thing that's silly that is causing everything to be buried so deep in the seed? And there's one thing that stands out to me right away, and that is Shadow Temple Forest Medallion. So I think we can be very confident that that either Temple of Time or Nocturne has some song that is important to the logic somehow. Just because anything that goes through Shadow Temple often requires a lot of things.
Yeah, I would even go as far as to say that we probably need Burning Keg or even OOT for Queen of Time.
Yeah, potentially even both. It's not impossible.
I'm always glad to see something like Requiem on one of those songs, because you can often sequence break that, and then the high numbers are not that impressive anymore.
Interestingly enough, though, we did get ZL early on, and so one way for seeds this deep to be more possible is to get that early ZL and end up with a lot of warp songs early. If the warp song distribution plays nice, it can really enable the runners to reach a lot more checks in the 2 hours, much more so than if they have to hike, especially between age changes. And so that early ZL is going to give us another song in the graveyard here in Adult 1, and maybe that'll set up a chain where we can start zipping around the map pretty quick.
All right, so much for the early game analysis. Did we find anything useful already? I don't think we did.
Kind of hard to imagine that we will find anything useful. The only thing that I would expect to see here is probably like bomb shoes that would really break things open. The fact that we have like 8, 16, 22 suggests to me that there's actually very little in the Sphere Zero checks, and that probably everything starts off very bottlenecked. So there may only be like 1 or 2 items in the Sphere Zero checks that actually get us anywhere. And so unfortunately, there's not really a lot that you can do with that knowledge. You just kind of have to check everything and hope that you find some avenue to a sequence break.
I believe HollowLogic likes the early river play. Would you, with these high numbers, also go for the river play, or would you maybe play more standard? Go to long range first?
Oh no, Tobias had my nightmare. That's actually my nightmare. Getting voided out by that fire in the door. Like I specifically run through that door every single time because I've been tilted so many times by getting bounced back through it and voiding, just like what Tobias had happen there.
Yeah, that's very costly misfortune there.
So anyway, sorry, I ignored your question. So for River this seed, so I'm looking at ZL Epona Suns as our first songs. I think this seed, it might actually be better just to go Child, because there's 9 songs left, and 6 of those songs are warp songs, and getting 2 songs in Child there's a decent chance that you could end up with more warp songs just because math. So I don't hate the river play either, but I just like the river play more in this situation if we pick up a bottle in Sphere Zero. Ooh, and here's a big chest. Let's see what we got.
Okay, Mirror Shield.
Well, I mean, now HollowLogic does not need to buy a shield, but I think that's probably one of the least useful items that we could have picked up Definitely potential for like a Path Sun song for Mirror though.
Yeah, that's one way
Anything
to.
that adds items to the count is kind of sus.
That's indeed one way to have high path counts by having Sunsong and Mirror Shield in the pool. He's going for the river play, I think.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't really think there's a right or wrong answer. Like getting those early hints can be very good, and getting out of logic with those upper and lower river heart pieces could potentially let us sequence break. I didn't see what that 20 was. I'm assuming it's
I
dead.
think arrows or something. I think it's dead indeed. But yeah, we need more information on the Courage path. That will be the easiest one to reach, presumably.
Yeah, we've had all dungeon hints so far. So if any sort of overworld hints show up, then that's going to make the courage path, potentially the wisdom path, easier to get to. Although I'm kind of expecting power to be almost all dungeon hints as well.
Maybe even more valuable than the path hints are the maybe the foolish hints, because with so much required, maybe you need to play the whole game.
Yeah, I wonder how many dungeons are actually going to end up barren this seed. Like I feel like it might just be a bunch of overworld locations. That's still helpful, but I had a seed the other day where I had 4 dungeons barren, including like Fire Temple and GTG, and it was like, oh wow, that's pretty helpful.
All right, HollowLogic closing in on those hints, those juicy hints in River. Let's see what knowledge we can get from those. Okay, it's already worth.
That seems bad, but it's actually really good. Because what that means is that we've got either Serenade or Prelude in Lon Lon, and both of those songs are actually really good for routing in a deep seed like this. That's our second bottom of the well hint, by the way. Tobias is staring at the mirror shield. Okay.
Did you mean second in the sense of the double or the double path?
So we have well on courage and we have well on power. So that's 2 separate items in bottom of the well. And Epona's locks iron boots. Well, that's a good start.
Yeah, that's also a big one.
So I think HollowLogic might be going to Kokiri Forest to try and get the Minuet song out of Logic. I think this is fine, especially knowing that one of the child songs is now not going to be like Minuet, because we know it's either Serenade or Prelude. So there's less chances to get Minuet, and getting Minuet makes this play bad. And this is, I think HollowLogic just trying to, again, break the logic any way that he can, and yeah, okay. And probably maybe targeting storms. Storm seems to be pretty important, and well, there's a few opportunities to maybe get that out of logic, and I think a bottle would actually be really helpful too. With early ZL, ice out of logic seems like it could be potentially powerful as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure about how I feel about this. You can also just go child and do the same checks as child, and then maybe you'll find Minuet.
Yeah, I mean, if I were playing it, I probably would have. Well, I already said I would have probably save quit after picking up the graveyard song, but oh, and that is a bottle. Okay, that's very interesting. So HollowLogic actually has the option after doing Minuet to go back to River and do Ice out of Logic for another early song. So yeah, it's kind of a lot of opportunities showing up despite the mess that we have. Maybe some options to break the logic. Who knows? Rudos could be buried very deep with Nocturne in Ice Cavern. There's a whole lot of possibilities for ways that actually some of this could be circumvented now.
So we also have a fire to wisdom now. One fewer dungeon that can be foolish.
This backflip over Mido is always tricky when you don't have a shield. Well done, though. That was pretty fast by HollowLogic there.
You did have a shield.
Or I meant, sorry, without a bow or a hook shot. I said the word, but I didn't mean that word. I meant a different word.
Yeah, it can be tricky. Yeah, you don't want to stand around there for like 5-6 attempts. We do have free Scarecrow, but no hook shot, so you have to do the Blitzless jump here. But yeah, forced access being locked by some sort of song is also probably part of one of those paths. Pretty much everything will be path.
Yeah, we're just getting a ton of dungeon paths. No surprise. In a seed this deep, there can't be a lot early on. Oh, OOT is Nocturne. Well, there you go.
Well, that explains a lot. Especially if Burning Cack is also a big song later on.
So that basically confirms that Mirror Shield is path because Spirit is a stone. Oh, and that's Vanilla Minuet. So that's actually kind of nice for HollowLogic. This play is going to be paying out just from a routing perspective. Getting those hints early, and now you can play Minuet in Child to get the free song. And looks like this is probably to Child for HollowLogic as well. And we'll go from there.
Can't wait for Serias being on. Is it even possible? Serias on Burning Cack? It looks like it can be. Forest is the yellow medallion.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. So I think that's actually something very important to consider because, if this is literally Burning Cack for Saria's song, then Forest Temple, could potentially be a 22. Like, it's not impossible. And we know that whatever the Burning Cack is like the deepest possible part of the seed. The sequence of dungeons is actually very clear. Fire, Water, and Spirit are probably going to be available. And then all that's going to lead to Shadow Temple, and then whatever behind that on Burning Cack is going to be like kind of the very deepest part of the game. So if we can figure out either what that song is, or if it ends up being like Requiem on Burning Cack, we can kind of process of eliminate. Whoa, hook shot unlocks a hook shot.
It sounds like a paradox, but it isn't.
And HollowLogic is actually not going Child, so I lied about that. That save quit was just to get back to River. And we're going to see a sub 20-minute ice play, which, I think this is fine. With how HollowLogic has played it so far, I think going ice now is a great idea. With the bottle, with Domain being foolish, you're going to pick up 3 more hints along the way, and you're going to get another song that's really out of logic and could potentially bust this thing open. So I think it's great.
Yeah, what I do realize is that if I happen to play HollowLogic in this group, then I probably have to play my own game, because I'm not going to attempt to follow the decision making by Hollow. I'm not saying it's bad, but I would make totally different decisions.
Yeah, I think it's just all about it's all about the logic and trying to avoid it as much as possible, knowing that maybe the Sphere Zero checks are less valuable just because this seed is likely to be very very linear, and just trying to avoid the linearity as much as possible. And speaking of important things, which we weren't, but I'm just trying to segue, we saw a very important hint there in Castle 2, and that was DMT on power. And so that means that actually all of the dungeon path items for power and probably for courage as well are hinted. So that actually is going to make clearing Overworld substantially more valuable, because there won't be any need to go to like randomly check dungeons to at least nail down 2 of the pieces. So because of the dungeon priority and dungeon hints getting placed before overworld locations, when you see an overworld location on a path as deep as power, that's like actually really important because it limits the necessity to dive randomly into dungeons, and if you're going to clear random stuff blindly, limit it to overworld checks, and a lot of times you can use your time more wisely.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. That dungeon hints have priority in both foolish hints and also the path hints.
HollowLogic did a double take on that hint. That was Epona's for a path slingshot. So yeah, this is the stuff of dreams. I mean memes. So what in the world is going on?
What if there's just a sling in one of the first checks of GTG, which leads to the bomb back on the target? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the craziest ideas are realistic. Also, that's a nice peek by HollowLogic. Just peeking the heart piece under the ice there. It's a valuable thing to peek because we know that the iron boots are path through the unlock hint. So that location is actually an overworld location that you could potentially get baited into coming back for once you had irons. But now HollowLogic knows that that he doesn't need to come back here once he has irons, because that's just a dead check.
Yeah, Hollow is really pushing those songs. He's hoping to find Song of Storms here at the end of Ice.
Yeah, I think Storms would definitely be the jackpot. I think Requiem could be interesting as well, but I mean, there's a lot of decent ones. Like even Bolero wouldn't be the worst, just to get even more songs. And really, I think this is process of elimination as much as anything, right? Like we know Saria's is a very important song for the Logic this seed, and so every song that's not Saria's puts Saria's in a worse place potentially, and that's going to tell us whether we want to end up in Forest Temple or not.
So just to reiterate the number crunching I did before the tournament, Ice has only like 8% chance of having a piece. So about 1 in every 12 seeds, Ice will have a piece. That being said, Hollow is here for the song and not for the piece.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it could be a piece, and if HollowLogic finds one here, then that's just kind of gravy on the mashed potatoes. But I think it's kind of like a win-win, right? Like there's a lot of ways it can go right. You could find like bomb shoes. You could find like an out-of-logic bomb bag or something like that could open the seat up. Any other sort of path item, any sort of song that provides better routing, and you know, a Triforce piece too. Any of those situations could substantially improve the route for the remainder of the seed. So going here as early as possible has a lot of ways that it can work.
Oh, that's funny.
That is funny, but I think HollowLogic's probably not laughing. Or maybe he is laughing, but I'm laughing.
He probably... Oh, curious that he picks it up. I think the only reason why you picked it up is if you intend to go back for King's Row at some point.
Well, HollowLogic knows that that Domain's dead, so I think HollowLogic is picking that up because it... well, I don't know. Maybe just like to get like extra fairy. We have Fire Temple path, so potentially like having 2 fairies for Volve with low hearts could be useful, or just because memes.
Yeah, it's hard to resist Blue Fire when you're in Ice.
Blue Fire locked to Blue Fire. I mean, who doesn't love that?
Let's see if he's pushing the block or that he's trying to do the glitchless jumps here.
Yeah, I have a really good way of doing this room glitchless without any of the fancy strats that good players do. So I know I've told HollowLogic about some of these strats sometimes. Let's see if he's able to put it together. This is nice. This is really good so far. All right. Are you gonna do it? Push the block. Yeah. Push the block. Get it on there. Press A at the right time. He was a little early on the A press there. That was close though.
Oh, that looks like a tricky jump.
It's actually much easier than you think. If you kind of have like a tic-tac-toe board, that was good. Yeah. So if you think of the ice piece as kind of like a tic-tac-toe board with like 3 rows and 3 columns, you just need to press A when you're in the top third of the ice block, and if you press A, then you will always get the boost basically on there. So it seems tough, but it's actually easy.
It's similar to all the other jumps where you're also propel a little bit forward, right?
Yeah, I just know that visual cue like always works for the timing. So it's actually very permissive. I think it's very easy to hit if you just anticipate it. And nice glitchless jumps there by Hollow to get to the end here. I think that was a really good rupee room with the items that he has.
We did miss a bow on Tobias' side. I'm not sure where he picked it up. I think in Lost Wood somewhere.
And that storms on Tobias' side, so kind of, I think, good for Tobias. That bow is probably locking everything, and there's Saria's, so that's,
Oh, wow, okay. Now we need some pointers on Rudos to see how deep this is in logic.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. So we still don't know where exactly Forest Temple is gonna end up in the logic, because now all the forest is kind of locked behind Rudos. And if we see an ice path, then that'll be kind of a giveaway, right? But I think for HollowLogic, that's about the worst case scenario that could have come out of ice. Saria's is about the worst song to find there, given what he knows. And also, he didn't find any sort of out of logic progression like bomb choose. So it kind of stinks. I still think it was a good play, but it didn't really work out.
Yeah, sometimes you have to make gambles in this mode, and not all the gambles pay out. Tobias skipping the Storm Squirrel here.
Yeah, Tobias actually has ended up with some pretty good progression now. That bow is going to lead to potentially a lot of things in GTG. And we know that GTG is, well, Epona's is double path and could very easily be an HBA seed with Epona's and bow maybe locking like an early bomb bag or something like that. And we know that Storms is leading to at least 2 items in bottom of the well that are path. So that is a high priority location as well. So a lot of places that are worth going for Tobias right now. And who knows if he's able to track down that that courage piece first, then maybe that could be all he needs.
So we did find inside Cannon's Castle to power. If that means light trial, which is possible for power, then Wisdom might be even farther behind that. So light trial might be locking a lot of stuff still. But it might also not be light trial. You automatically start to think about the highly deeply locked stuff when the path counts are so big.
Tobias is being very, very thorough with the child checks. I almost wonder at this point if this is a little bit too thorough, given that bottom of the well and some of the fortress checks are available. But it only takes 1 pack of bomb chews to make everything worth it. So let's see what we get here.
And maybe he's a little bit scared of not having explosives for bottom of the well. You can still pick all the bomb blocked stuff.
Yeah, I just think that going to bottom of the well is actually your best chance of getting explosives. It looks like HollowLogic is kind of caught up with the Minuet, warping him straight to Minuet. And yeah, with Storms, I think HollowLogic is just making a beeline for the well.
Knowing HollowLogic, you are probably correct.
So this is one of the things that I think people don't appreciate about Blitz is just the amount that experience plays a factor in how you route things. HollowLogic is actually probably one of the most experienced Blitz players that we have. Played a lot in Season 1 and really has been grinding hard in Season 2. And so I think this aggressive style of play where you try to aggressively just chase after the path locations. HollowLogic skipped all of like Lost Woods, skipping chickens here, just like walking right past 0-0 checks.
That's insane, really. Skipping chick, that's not even costing you time.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is something that I think actually kind of makes sense in the situation because, like we mentioned earlier, the low sphere checks unlikely to have too much, although Tobias did find a bow, and realistically that bow could be the only thing that's available in all of Sphere 0. But we do know that we have some stuff in bottom of the well, and most of the checks can be done here. And if we're going to find bomb shoes anywhere, bottom of the well is for sure the most dense location. So there's a lot that can go right here in bottom of the well also. So, and also if we're going to see some of these deeper pieces in the seed, we kind of need just some things to go right. Like we just need some skips to be available. And so, as I sometimes say, you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. And HollowLogic is buying a lot of tickets.
Yeah, also in the early game, I also think about my health situation. We probably need to go to fire at some point. Hey, there's a strength.
Okay, so that's going to open up a bunch more stuff. We're able to get into DC now. HollowLogic is trolled because, of course, there's a bomb lock check in bottom of the well. I mean, if that's not a restream tournament race in a nutshell, like I don't know what is. Just frustrating, but maybe there will be some bomb shoes later on as well.
But to finish my train of thought, being on like 5 or 6 hearts for Fire Temple is probably also not the worst. So that's also a reason why you can also do maybe a bit more overall checks. If it's not an item, then maybe it's a heart.
Yeah, and I think having the bottle for that is pretty nice. And it looks like there's a key back there, so we'll see if there's another item that shows up in bottom of the well. We're expecting 2 items in bottom of the well because we have 2 paths pointing there. Could certainly just be the strength and the bomb lock check. But we have a few more checks left before we give up on that. And for Tobias, I think, yeah, I mean, bomb juice can be anywhere, and given how scarce the explosives have been this seed, anything that gives you explosives could be kind of a seed-changing item. So on some level, I don't think there's really a wrong way to play this, but you're seeing 2 very different philosophies between HollowLogic and Tobias. It's kind of interesting to see the comparison and the contrast.
Yeah, so Tobias was actually rushing for the well as well, and then because he skipped the first chicken, but then decided, oh, I'm going to the chickens after all.
That's all 3 keys in bottom of the well, so no way to skip dead hand this seed, unfortunately.
So both runners following each other's footsteps now. It's a pretty even race. Tobias with the extra bow.
Yeah, I do think that bow could potentially be important. The fact that we kind of know some interesting things from the unlock hints. We know hookshot locks a hookshot, and that means that both hookshots are path, and that's probably just for Nocturne. But we also know that Epona's is path as well, despite the long shots being out there. So it's very likely that Epona's locks some of the hookshots. But another way that could happen is just for HBA or pose to be required. And Tobias has the bow to be able to do all those checks. And I don't know how inclined HollowLogic is going to be to go back to Lost Woods and just do overworld checks. I think with his strength, he might be more inclined to maybe dip into Dodongos or maybe make an early play to GTG. So I think some tough decisions coming up for HollowLogic unless we see some more progression here in bottom of the well.
Yeah, it looks like a good play when you're out of options to just go take your boat to GTG, see what's available. So yeah, I would probably expect DC first here on HollowLogic side.
Okay, we got another big chest. So this could be our other path item, or this could be bomb shoes, and both of them would be very helpful. Oh.
Okay then. Closing in on light trial.
Well, so that opens up a lot. So first of all, that opens up Goron City Maze. So that's a really good place to go now. That also, I mean, technically you could run across to Spirit Temple now if you really wanted to. That would be a bold play, but it's there. Probably going to get key locked, but you never know. If we get either hovers or a bomb bag, we can start doing a hookless GTG for a lot of checks now. But we're kind of like one item away from being able to blow this thing open. And, well, we're not quite there yet, but we're close.
Yeah, there are now still even more possibilities to break open the seed and just ignore the way the seed wants you to play. Yeah, so what would even be the next option? Maybe DC into Goron City, hoping for explosives.
Yeah, I definitely make my way up to Goron City as soon as possible. I think you know that both of those strength upgrades are probably path. It just seems it seems really likely, given the likelihood of light trial being important at some point, and trying to chase the checks that those strength upgrades unlock seems wise. I just worry about the bow. I think HollowLogic is going to have a hard time running into it. And I just, is Spidey Sense, whatever you want to call it, I feel like HBA or Big Pose is going to lead to something.
My question is, will HollowLogic check the third hint here? He did it last time in his race versus Tobias.
Can you even do that hint without explosives? I think you need explosives.
Yeah, you're actually right. Yeah, I think you need to explode some sort of wall. I don't even know how it looks inside.
So HollowLogic maybe going back to do woods here. Getting that DMT path is interesting though, because HollowLogic has 2 DMT checks that are available to him now with the storms. Unfortunately, does not have a way to get through the shortcut as child. But if HollowLogic is able to run into that bow, then that could be a pretty big find. Also, HollowLogic has Saria's song, amusingly enough. So maybe Skull Kid will pay out something.
Yeah, what if Skull Kid or Darunia has something interesting?
I mean, bomb shoes would be so massive, like just to get into Goron City as child. And HollowLogic can do like Darunia, and would probably love to go there to do DMT storms as child if he can find a way through the shortcut. But we've just been very bomb shoe starved to this seed, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better.
I'm not entirely sure where that bow was. Maybe it was just in Kokiri Forest here. If it's in Lost Woods, he might have run past it again.
Yeah, I confess I wasn't really paying attention too much when Tobias did Lost Woods. I think it's something about Ocarina minigame that just wipes my brain.
Oh, it was Ocarina minigame. Chat informs us. Yeah, that's one of those checks that Some runners just never do.
Guilty is charged.
Yeah, he has to do it at some point if it actually locks the rescue seat. So. Serious check 1.
Well, that's disappointing.
We do have Sunsong, which is always really nice here in Lost Woods. I think that is the third. Cannons to power.
I think it might be the second one, because I think we saw it on Tobias's side first, and so...
Yeah, but it's probably the double take from the same hint.
All right, so Tobias is giving us our first look at Tobias. There's another check here. Did Tobias do DMT storms? Am I crazy?
I think he just wants to go adult now, but this time of day looks a bit dicey. Oh yes, Sunsong. Never mind.
I think Tobias wanted to check the trail, the DMT path, but I think I don't know.
I think he just wants to go adult and do those checks as adult.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, like getting to Goron City is not bad as adult either. All right, so HollowLogic has got the bow. That's good for HollowLogic. So now what?
It appears HollowLogic also has picked up Serenade. It's not marked on the tracker yet.
I wonder if this might be an open grotto in Field Peak. It's a nice check in general, just because it's out of the way, but it also gives you a hint. Those are the checks that you kind of like to go out of the way to loop in, but looks like this is going to be a child fishing play too, so kind of full clear on the sphere zeros.
Yeah, HollowLogic has been slowing down considerably with doing these checks as well. Doesn't want to rush the likely progression anymore. So Tobias makes it to adult first. Most of the new checks we will see for now will be on Tobias' side. I don't think we can be the boss yet. Not able to get into the castle yet.
Yeah, not quite yet. Unfortunately, hookless spirit not a thing.
Oh, that's a bonus.
Yes, I think this is a GTG play, and the question is, will this be a pose play? Because that's available right now before the GTG play. This looks like GTG. This is not pose.
Solo going for the open grotto hint. Looks like. He did skip back of lake.
So there's something in chat about hookless GTG, but unfortunately, hookless GTG is not possible. Well, it's not very valuable with the item set that we have right now. You need a bomb bag or you need hover boots in order to really get the full value from hookless GTG. Otherwise, doing hookless GTG only actually gets you one extra check, and it's a pretty substantial time commitment for that.
Yeah, Tobias, I think you need to be a bit more to the left in order to peek the chest from the horse. Oh, wow.
That's a big chest. Of course it is.
Is he waiting for time of day?
He's got Sun Song, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, he wasn't using the carrots, so I was just wondering if he wanted to slow down just because it was maybe close to daytime. But
Yep, I think you have a point, but regardless, it's probably fine either way. Now, Tobias doesn't have a hook shot, so let's see how he deals with the guard here.
very nice strat here.
Yes, this is a great strat. I call it the idiot-proof strat, and that's why I use it.
Okay, HollowLogic going a lot here as well. Let's see if he follows Tobias' footsteps or that he prefers to go to the mountain area.
For those of you in chat who are wondering, Nut strat is not the only option there. There's also the bow machine gun strat, but they both work fine.
That might be even more idiot-proof, right? Or what was the word you used?
You would think, and yet...
So we're here at GTG. Can't do too many checks, but who knows? Wow.
Here's a bomb bag, so we're out of jail.
That's quite big for Tobias.
Yeah, and that's actually really important because now hook shotless GTG is an option. So we can pretty much full clear GTG, and look at that. Center of the maze has a piece, and there's a big chest blocked by Song of Time, almost certainly. So I think GTG is the place to be.
Song of Time on Burning Keg, anyone?
It could be. I mean, it's unaccounted for. All the songs, I mean, it could even be like a 16, right? Like anything behind Shadow is very deep, and there's 2 chances for that to be the case.
Yeah, 100% I would try to sequence break GTG. You have the bombs now. Go for it, Tobias, if you know how to do this.
Tobias with a very thorough peek of the maze, but let's see if Tobias ends up trying to do a hookshotless GTG. It is absolutely the play if Tobias knows how to do it, but we're gonna get that knowledge very soon.
If he doesn't know how to do it, he can at maximum get 1 key here. Maybe 1 or 2 more in the maze.
So that's 1 key, and Tobias can do the BMOS chest now as well in Logic, so that could give another key. But this looks like hookshotless, so let's hope Tobias can do this clean. That was not clean.
It looks so funny sometimes when people do this.
And HollowLogic is heading up towards Goron City, and so this is going to give us, I believe, our first look at DMT Storms, which potentially could be a path item. So kind of split your attention here. There's a good action going on both sides.
Finally, time for the Storms Grotto we were talking about earlier. Tobias is eyeballing the hand grab.
Oh, that's golds.
Okay then.
So it looks like Light Trial is going to be a lot earlier in the Logic than we were expecting. Certainly, Light Trial has to have something, but we actually golds before bridge. You know, that's
to me,
not
it looks
something
like
you see every day.
To me, it looks like he still has silvers. What is that? Just an optical illusion?
Yeah, it's just the cosmetics. It said goldens, and we saw him pick up both of the other strengths in bottom of the well, so it's golds.
I see.
Well, those are really nice hookshotless GTG kind of rupee room by Tobias. So nicely done. And I really like that roll through the flame wall. He's got to be careful though. He's on low HP, although I think he might still have his fairy. So maybe in not in real danger potentially.
Yeah, it's really looking cool that those runners are doing different things and that we're seeing an actual race. Tobias with the plays here. Lookless, hookshotless GTG. Don't see that every day.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense in this seed. And oh, we got a big chest lock behind strength 2. Oh, okay. So that's bomb shoots for HollowLogic. That's a little scary for him because that's gonna. Tobias just got doored.
Oh boy.
So so HollowLogic has bomb shoes now, and that actually gives Tobias the ability to end up in Dodongo's cavern to open up Ganon. So I worry that HollowLogic could potentially get distracted from ending up in GTG just because he's got options now.
Yeah, it has not been working out great so far what HollowLogic has been trying to do. Of course, very much in the race, but he needs to follow Tobias into GGG, I think.
Yeah, and HollowLogic, I think, is going to go straight to Dodongo's. And Dodongo's is fine here because we need to do a dungeon to get into Ganon's regardless. So, like, we need the items from GTG probably later on. But HollowLogic wants to go to Light Trial. And the thing that's standing between him and Light Trial is Dodongo's Cavern right now. So it makes perfect sense for him to be in here. And we know that Dodongo's Cavern is going to be in Logic soon anyway because we have that bomb bag in GTG that HollowLogic does not yet know about. And unfortunately, DC is not going to be shallow, or is not going to be deep enough in the seed for a Triforce piece. But we got a big chest in GTG on Tobias' side.
Burning Cactus Bolero.
Yeah, so that's one song down. So the only song that's going to be locked behind Shadow Temple is now at the Temple of Time. And we still don't know what that song is going to be.
Also, Light Arrow cutscene will be available after the Dongos.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't even think about that. That's probably something that HollowLogic will pick up on the way to GTG whenever he decides to go there. Actually, probably it'll be right after Dodongo's because he'll be going to Ganon's.
Seems like Tobias will have plenty of keys to scout everything that's in the maze, except maybe the center chest.
And HollowLogic is going straight for King Dodongo and just skipping the rest of DC. I think this is really cool. Like, HollowLogic's play is super aggressive, and he's super unafraid to just skip stuff. And I think that's really refreshing. It's just like a very unique play style, and one that works much better for Blitz than it would for like other modes. And so I think it's cool that he's like playing the mode rather than just being a traditional player.
Yeah, it is exactly the way to play it. Triforce Blitz are, in my opinion, one of the most fun ways to just don't do checks.
Just go to where the Triforce pieces are, duh, forehead.
Just do the one or two checks that you have in your mind and beeline those. No key here in the fire pit, so it's not a sequence break then. Would you say that learning how to beat King Dodongo with only choose is an important skill in Triforce Blitz?
You know, I don't think it's that important, actually, compared with other skips. It can be useful, but this is, and this seed you have strength, so it just, you tend not to need it very much. Is that a Kokiri sword?
I think that's a quiver, I think.
Okay. I'm sure we'll get a better look at it in a second because Tobias is going to check out the big chest on the Song of Time side. But anyways, to go back to KD with choose, like, it's pretty situational, and I would say it's reasonably difficult, and also if you don't do it right, it's reasonably tilting. And so I think that if you're newer and you're looking for tricks to learn, like, that's pretty low on the list compared to other tricks that we use more frequently. Like, especially having like clean ice caverns and things like that, I think is going to serve you better for most seeds.
Spire is actually slaughtering those Dynalphos. Okay, let's have a peek in the maze. A few big chests here and there.
Yeah, 5 keys for Tobias, and I forget how many are actually in the maze. Looks like we're going to get some save scumming, and HollowLogic is going to be going to do the Strength 3 lock checks. So there's going to be a lot of action on both sides here, so keep your eyes peeled.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if this one here is a piece. If not, you just... right, yeah, you reset and you go to the center.
That's actually kind of nice that it's nothing, because now Tobias doesn't need to worry about like coming back for keys. I think there's 2 keys in the maze, so Tobias can get to the center.
Where are you going, Tobias?
I'm confused.
I think Tobias was confused as well.
All right, well, that's relatable then.
Yeah, I think there are 2 keys already, yeah.
Yeah, so no need for like any awkward, do I go for the center of the maze or do I go for the big chest on the right side and try to manage the keys? We just go to the center of the maze and be done with it, and let's see if this turns out to be anything.
If somehow this is a piece, then HollowLogic for sure is on the clock, and we'll need to find 2 before the end of the race.
Ooh, well, bad luck there. Looks like GTG is probably just bombs. Not that surprising, but Epona's is still path, so I really hope that Tobias ends up doing HBA before leaving here.
I think that was actually one of the worst things to see here in the center. You just have your bomb back. Give us Dins or anything else. Just
Okay, now we got Light Trial.
Oh, there's a piece there. Oh boy.
Okay, so that's Courage. So that's our 8. So HollowLogic on the board, and that's a really critical piece to find, I think. And now, well, now what? We could... I think HollowLogic will end up kind of chasing Epona's and going to the GTG area, but GTG seems like it's going to lead, well, just to that bomb bag and nothing else. So let's take a breather. I think things are going to slow down considerably over the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, they'll just switch places, in my opinion. But oh boy, that was quite big for Hollow there.
I think that's got to be a big relief just to pick it up that quickly. I'm just trying to look at the hints here. So we have the strengths on power as well. So I feel like all 3 of those strengths are still path for the other paths, which is weird because we didn't find a lot of items in...
But yeah, you didn't have a key yet, and you're picking up the key here. Maybe there's something in the...
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I was thinking it could be fire arrows, because we did see magic in GTG as well. So with fire arrows, that would give us some some fire access.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Might just be fire arrows. Oh, furores there here on the 1500s.
Well, that's not path, but that's definitely useful, especially with the magic. And I wouldn't hate the idea of putting furores in GTG just because there's the potential to maybe cross later, but also there's that big chest on the Garuda Valley Hammer Rocks, and having furores there would make it very easy to get back there.
Very good point. We decide path counts yourselves of every big chest.
Doesn't look like that's the plan for Tobias, though. I'm not sure what the plan is, actually.
Nothing in Light Trial then. I don't think any of those strengths were strength locked, were they? I think they were all available.
Yeah, I think all the strengths are just out there. They're all locked by storms, but they're all just chilling independently. So I do really think that it's fire arrows now that is going to end up locking a lot of stuff because
otherwise the strengths are not going to be part of the 16 or the 22.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a power a bottom of the well path to power, and so if that is actually the strength, then that would have to mean that fire arrows are locking at least something. And it could just be for like Spirit Temple key logic for Nocturne. Not crazy for that to be the case at all. But we also do have that big chest in bottom of the well now that we can get to with these explosives. Not really convenient for our runners to get there, but it's out there.
Okay, finally we're seeing back of lake.
Wait a minute. Hold up. That was bottom of the well path to power, was that not? I believe that is our third. Yeah, that's 3 for power. So that means that whatever that item is in bottom of the well that we couldn't get to because of the bombs is a path item.
Oh, wow.
And I believe if HollowLogic has been counting, then HollowLogic should know that because the other two hints for that were in River and in Fountain. So HollowLogic definitely got those.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that you don't keep track of the actual piece that path is hinting to.
So on Tobias' side, definitely looks like this is going to end up being a crossing, or at the very least, dropping furores in GTG. But based on his direction, this looks like a cross.
He has strength 2. He maybe wants to take another gamble there in Adult Spirit. Or maybe he sets furores first. He's making up his mind.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of indecision. This is a very challenging seed, and I think it's putting Tobias in a position where he has to really use a lot of pretty difficult tricks, and maybe these are tricks that he's not super comfortable with, and so he's gonna have to backwalk across the sand here. So it's like a setup test. Like, do you know all your setups? Do you have all your tricks on lockdown? And you don't often need them in seeds, but it's that 1 in 10, that 1 in 20 seeds where it ends up being really important. And this is the 20th seed.
I actually have my own strategy here for crossing the first part. It's super free. I don't think anyone else does it. I used to do it like Tobias is trying to do now, but that's a bit harder because you don't have a lot of time to jump to the side at the end.
Yeah, I do the backflip, roll, side hop, backwalk, side hop like 5 times. The setup one, the idiot-proof one.
So what I do is I run up to the crate, then I look back until a certain angle, which is pretty lenient, and then I walk back, and I have lots of time to even do the side jump after.
That's a cool way of doing it. It's probably faster than what I do. And I see a lot of thank yous in chat, so thank you, chat, for being here with us. And happy 1 hour. And thank you to our runners as well, and to the trackers. And we're about to see another path item here.
Oh boy.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba.
Seems Tobias knew all along. He's crossing here. You can do it, Tobias.
This is one of those situations where the next level play is actually to leave a save scum in adult as HollowLogic, and then if that item is nothing, you just save scum back to adult. But yeah, that crossing is definitely not in logic. We don't have long shot, we don't have hovers. But I'm sure that won't stop HollowLogic. Right now it is stopping Tobias a little bit. But hopefully Tobias is able to get through, or at least look up a setup for this, because like I mentioned, like the tricks that are required to do the seed, it's been very tricky, and well, that's why you practice.
Tobias is trying a different strategy now, the one you usually use when you want to go from the other side. I'm not sure if this is working.
I think Tobias is looking up a strat video right now.
Yeah, HollowLogic is coming. He's on the way to GTG.
It's unfortunate for HollowLogic because I think HollowLogic probably doesn't really want to do GTG right now. But HollowLogic is going to do like the first check, and then he's going to peek the maze, and then he's going to have no choice but to do it. And it's just a total waste of time for the most part. I guess getting the magic will be helpful, but there's got to be a hook shot out there somewhere that's probably just bomb locked on the overworld, I'm guessing, that is kind of logically locking the seed down.
Yeah, let's see if Tobias manages to figure it out, maybe using one of those videos.
That was a fancy setup. This is a real gamer strat.
This is more or less the strategy I do, but I just use a visual cue instead of a setup.
Oh, so close.
And my angle is also a little bit better, a bit more to the left, so that you have time to side up at the end.
I mean, if Tobias can pull this off, like learning a strat on Restream, like that's amazing, actually.
Yeah, Tobias is just not afraid to play his own game. And when do you get to see people looking up strats during the race?
Oh, that was really close as well. All right, I think he's gonna get it. Like he just needs to side hop at the end at the right time, but we're close. Okay, here we go.
That looks alright, that looks alright.
Oh, almost. Almost. So HollowLogic getting nutted there by the guards, so we'll get to give that another shot. So a little bit of spaghetti on both sides of the restream here, but
yeah, this is what high path counts will do to you. You feel like you have to sequence break. And without hookshot, you are thrown out into the tent.
So HollowLogic is showing us the machine gun strat. So you get to see all the strats here on the Silver Gauntlets. There, the guard is down.
If Hollow somehow does the HBA first, even then I don't think he will get away from clearing GCG, but if his idea was Spirit, then he might.
Yeah, but it's path. There's no way to get away from it. Like, as soon as you peek the maze, like, you're committed. There's just, without knowing where Song of Time is, you just can't ignore that chest on the right side. Because it could so easily be like a 16 or 22 without you knowing it, so. Getting his bomb bag, knows that everything's in logic now. Yeah, probably not thrilled about it because now he wants to leave, but he wants to peek the maze too before he leaves, and then he's gonna have no choice.
Will Tobias be resilient and try until he manages, or is he just looking to find his luck elsewhere?
Yeah, I kind of hope he looks up an easier setup. Like, the setup that he was doing there seemed, man, it's way more difficult than what I do. Like, there was a lot of things there. I just do the backflip roll, slide hop 5 times, back walk over. That one serves me pretty well. But it's a good learning experience. I mean, if you're kind of a newer player and you get into a situation like this, my personal rule is never do a trick for the first time on restream. That's just a rule of mine. And so if I'm ever not like confident in a certain trick, or that it's been like a really long time, I will give things like at most like 1 or 2 tries and then just bail on it, because investing like 10 minutes into something and then getting flustered is just not worth it. And you have to manage your mentality, I think, as much as anything else.
At the same time, I do like it. Tobias is just playing his own game. He is in this tournament because he wants to have fun, not because he thinks necessarily that he is going for the first prize.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And this could be a big post check. So I think this is another priority check, I think, that could potentially be pretty good. Let's see if this pays out.
Let's see what HollowLogic uses to being grabbed by the pose here. Logger, Wallmaster. As a player, you have this audio cue that you'll hear when you manage to grab all the rupees successfully. It's pretty hard to hear on restream.
Shout out to HollowLogic using the setup for the rupee room. I'm pretty sure I personally taught HollowLogic this strat a while ago, so it's my seal of approval. The idiot-proof silver rupee room strat. almost through there, but should be able to fix that, no problem. Oh wow, it's kept the angle. That's better than I do it. Wow, nice job.
Yeah, before you know it, people steal your strats and improve on it.
Yeah, I didn't know about that fairy thing either. That was pretty cool.
So what new checks is Tobias going to show us now? Maybe archery?
I think this is probably a Dodongo's Cavern play, to be honest.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's actually true. Almost forgotten that he hadn't done this yet.
I would like to see our runners chase some of the bomb lock checks on the overworld a little bit more. I just really think that there's a hook shot out there somewhere, and the odds that we need a hook shot to follow whatever comes later. Like, obviously, we're crossing for Spirit almost certainly, but there's a decent chance we could need a hook shot for Spirit to get a key to even get in there. So it just seems to me like there's a hook shot out there in the overworld behind bombs, waiting to be picked up by somebody who's going to check those checks.
Yeah, very good point. So we are now almost 1 hour 15 minutes into the race, and if we want to grab OOT song, then we still need to beat Fire, Water, and Spirit. That is looking very dicey.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna end up seeing Shadow Temple this seed. Just hasn't really worked out. I'd kind of be surprised if we see any more Triforce pieces this seed, other than Light Trial. I think Tobias is about to get his Strength 3 and will end up in Light Trial before too long. But yeah, I mean, still potential for maybe some out of logic plays to pick up a weird 16 or 22. Like, Forest could potentially still be deep. I mean, Spirit, who knows? And we don't even have access to cross the crater now. So, yeah, there's just a lot we don't know.
Yeah, until we find Rudos, there's still a reason to believe that the piece might be in Forest. And there's the Golden Gauntlets.
Yeah, but in order to get to Forest Temple, we do need that hook shot. So one of our runners will have to track that down in order to make that gamble.
I believe Crater is also on the path. I'm not sure if we saw anything there yet.
No, and it's unfortunate because it's very likely to be the song. Decent chance of it being like Requiem or something like that, but I guess, well, Requiem may be even less likely because we have the lens, so I don't know. Certainly with bombs, like, we can check a bunch of stuff there, so worth a peek at the very least.
Yeah, Requiem is still reasonably likely. Just one key on the child side will do it.
All right, so HollowLogic is going to be going through the maze here and finding out the disappointing news that all this was for kind of nothing. But likely after that to get back on the progression train. Got to imagine that this will be a cross shortly afterwards. And Tobias is going to give us our first look at DMC. So still some missing pieces of the puzzle to fill in. Oh, looks like this is a maze check first, which makes sense.
Can you imagine that you are here in GTG and you don't have the bow from the song yet, from the minigame? You have to waste 2 of those keys for the bow. Almost synchronous bomb 2 opens for both of the players. All right. Will HollowLogic show us a better setup for crossing?
Yeah, I think HollowLogic has this trick down. Probably we'll see HBA before that, though. And I think actually it'll be a pretty big relief to see HBA for HollowLogic, because getting furores, HBA, okay. Getting furores before crossing just makes it better, because even if you get locked out by hookshot, it's kind of a risk-free situation. So apparently I lied about DMC. Tobias is just going to Dodongos. And I mean, it's fine, because the same logic that we applied to HollowLogic still applies here. Strength 3, clearly path, need a dungeon to get into Ganon's, got to prioritize the important stuff. But for the restream value, it's a bummer.
Easy 1500 for Hollow, although he still needs a few shots.
Oh boy, not so easy. He's 100. All right, you got it. Exactly on the dot.
I thought he had a pots left still. That's my bad. Would have had a formal apology to Hollow if that didn't go well.
It's okay. He bailed you out there. But yeah, so Furores win, definitely nice, and now it's crossing time.
Did we already see the light arrow cutscene check? We must have. It's probably nothing. Okay, it was arrow refill. Okay.
Yeah, I think HollowLogic picked that up before going to Ganon's.
Also before going bottom of the well, I think. For that third chest.
So we are going to see the rest of Dodongo's Cavern on Tobias' side, so potentially here for a hookshot even. I'd say it's unlikely, but not impossible that a hookshot could show up here. But HollowLogic skipped these checks, so we'll see if there's anything important that surprises us here.
Courage wasn't like Trial Jumbo. Strengths were all really early. And we have reason to believe that the fire arrows in Light Trail are also on the path of both wisdom and power, or at least one of those.
Yeah, I mean, we thought that, but then the lens showed up path there, so we don't know anything for sure. Oh, there's a path slingshot. That's a path slingshot. Actually, that doesn't have to be a path slingshot, because that's out of logic currently. Well, that's interesting. At the very least, that's interesting.
But it was behind Epona, so it's kind of likely that it's... Although it can just be behind bombs, actually.
Yeah, it does seem likely that could be the path slingshot, but we don't know for sure. But we know there is a path slingshot, and that certainly seems like the most likely place for it.
I think if Nintendo ever re-releases the game, this should be the seed.
Yes, this one. Okay, so we're in Colossus now, so we're gonna get our first look at this. Very interested to see what the song ends up being. So we know that lens is logically required. So something here is going to lock Requiem. Could just be Requiem Vanilla though, but we'll know in about 15 seconds.
It's not Bolero, it's not going to be Nocturne. Yeah, it's just going to be Requiem. Well, now we clear spirits, both child and adult. Until we have reason to do something else.
Yeah, that's probably a relief for HollowLogic because now we're unlikely to get locked out of here by hookshot because now there's 3 checks that we can use to get a key instead of one. And also that slingshot, very likely to just be for spirit access now. Kind of all checks out, right? If we need to go to child side for a key, and some important items are locked deeper in spirit, but doesn't mean there couldn't be a key here on the adult side to save us some time. But I'm not holding my breath.
I would also recommend against holding your breath.
So I imagine that this is a Serenade play just to save quick back to Temple of Time, and we will be seeing Child Spirit for a key momentarily.
Tobias is probably going to do a few more checks here, and then he will probably go to Cannon's Castle as well, finding that piece to tie it up. So he really needs that second piece if he wants to win this race.
Looks like we're going to get a peek at Shadow Trial 2 for HollowLogic. I think HollowLogic just wants to exhaust every single possibility of these fire arrows being path. And it's not a bad idea.
Unfortunately, you have to loop all the way around for Shadow Trial.
All right, HollowLogic, you got 4 arrows. Shoot carefully.
Three attempts should be enough for the second one.
You would think.
Oh, he's going for it. Okay. Oh, I didn't think that would work.
That's a big chest. Wow.
Uh-oh.
This is the safe way to do it. He's just not confident in his aim. Doesn't want to get in a situation where he has to go, leave, and find arrows again. So this is nothing wrong with this.
Oh, right. You can just hop off, yeah. Okay.
Well, this is our path slingshot.
Yeah. That must be... Wow. Slingshot path Shadow Trial 2. Never thought I would say these words.
That's sensational. So that slingshot must lock Haunted Wasteland somehow. So I think actually we're going to have crossing. How can this be though? How can this be?
Hookshot on target, come on.
Yeah, there's got to be some item. I think there has to be something on targeted woods now. I think there has to be. Because what else could what else could slingshot lock to get you across the wasteland?
And there's the piece for Tobias. Say about half an hour, maybe a bit more later than Logic.
What's funny is that Tobias can actually get the slingshot as well with those fire arrows. Yeah, so for those of you who have not watched a Triforce Blitz race before, when we get to the 2-hour mark, the winner is decided by who found their most recent piece first. Or, well, who finds more, that's the first tiebreaker, but if they both have one, then in this seed, HollowLogic would be the winner because HollowLogic found that courage piece considerable amount of time ago. But if Tobias is able to track down a second piece in the last 30 minutes, then Tobias could potentially take the lead and have the tiebreaker on his side. So still some time left for Tobias to come up with a way to come back. Oh, just missing that jump there.
Oh, yeah, that's a no problem if you just run too fast there. Let me point out that the magic that we currently have is hookshot locked. So if we find the hookshot somehow after behind the slingshot, then it's going to be long shot.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so we don't even have that slingshot in Logic either. So technically, neither of those slingshots could be path. I do feel like there still has to be something on target in woods, though. It seems really likely.
Yeah, the slingshot doesn't have many uses, unless we find Kokiri's sword at some point.
So to Alkaline Ace, we got an unlock hint for Epona leads to a slingshot. So we know that one of these slingshots is path. And now we have a we have a Shadow Trial 2 and a Haunted Wasteland slingshot, and one of them's not path, at least.
What if these are the slingshot 2 and 3? So what haven't we done that might have our early progression?
Well, just anything on the overworld that's bomb locked. So there's actually a whole lot of places. Could easily be like DMC. That's high on the list. HollowLogic is going to give us a look at Bombshoe Bowling. That's also on the list. Field Grottos, Lost Woods Grottos. There's some DMT stuff, I think, as well that's available. Anything that involves buying beans is now available.
Oh, that's second magic.
So that means the GTG magic is not path. So actually now that we have that magic, now that slingshot in Shadow 2 is in Logic now. So that is the path slingshot. And that also means that GTG is definitely for bombs and not for magic.
That explains a few questions that we still had about the seed. We still have 10 or so more.
Yeah, it's like that's one less thing that we don't understand. So now the other 15 we have more time to think about. But yeah, I mean, I think HollowLogic is thinking really intelligently about that. Knowing that magic is there basically means target in woods almost certainly has to have something important. And HollowLogic was able to figure that out and is heading right there. I think HollowLogic's original plan was actually to do Bombchu Bowling on the way back to adult, but now the plan has been altered. So I think HollowLogic is just really adapting well to the information as it comes in.
Hey, hookshot.
Well, now what? Certainly, Spirit is beatable. Spirit doesn't have to have anything, for sure. We have more path items to count than you can shake a stick at. And for what it's worth, the old Forest Temple YOLO gamble is now a thing.
Yeah, when would you decide to go to Forest Temple if you're in Hollow's position? You still have like half an hour.
13 minutes left in the seed.
So until that point, you would just want to follow logic still.
Yeah, because there's been enough items that so we don't know how deep Spirit is, right? Because we still don't have logical crossing yet. We need a second hook shot or we need hovers. So Spirit could potentially still be very deep and could still be a 16. And anything locked behind Mirror is also very deep because of where we found Mirror Shield behind Sunsong. So Spirit Temple, definitely possible to be a 16. And I think there's time to hit both. And so I'd probably do Spirit first and then Forest and then call it a day.
Yeah, we might even have all 3 pieces if we do that. It's also still possible.
Yeah, it's not impossible. The problem with Lens leading us to Spirit is that we know that Spirit is Medallion leading to Nocturne. So literally all that could just be is beating Spirit Temple to ultimately get to Nocturne. But I think 16 is too shallow for anything in Shadow Temple, so I think there's got to be something available a little bit before that. And by clearing both Spirit and Forest, those are the 2 most likely locations for something in the 16 range.
But if there's maybe a key on the Strength 2 chest, then we need long shot, so the chain might be a bit bigger.
Yeah, and even then, like there's a good chance we need long shot for crossing the sands. We did get a hook shot unlocks hook shot hint, so there's got to be a long shot out there somewhere.
Yeah, and we also still need Hammer if we want to find out Nocturne. I don't think we have time for this anymore. Maybe if we really beeline the bosses.
All right, so Tobias looks like he is heading towards the the CAC area, but maybe this could be our long-awaited DMC check. I take it back.
Oh, I think he wants to go ice.
Yes, I think this is also a nice play.
And you will run into the same disappointment that HollowLogic had earlier in the race.
Yeah, unfortunately, unless... Well, actually, in Fountain is hinted dead, so both Domain and Fountain dead, and we know that Ice is a whole lot of nothing. So I think Tobias is going to be spending most of the rest of his time. I think it's a smart gamble for what he knows. It's just unfortunate that we know it's not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah, so for those of you who joined later, we have seen Sarias in ice with Minuet just vanilla. So they're most likely on the way to one of those pieces.
Ooh, and that is a big chest in Forest behind Hookshot.
Could be the other hook.
Could be, although I doubt it, because that would mean we would need hovers to cross.
That's not it. Some fresh checks here for HollowLogic. See if he can do the quick spin. Yeah, the quick push.
I can't even do that. I'm washed.
Yeah, boomer strat, I know.
So 2 keys there pretty much kills any possibility of long shot weirdness for the keys here, because those 2 keys are the 4th and 5th key. So yeah, all the other checks deeper will have items.
Setup looking good so far.
Nice. All right, it wouldn't be Spirit if there weren't like 10 bait big chests. I'm sure we'll be seeing some second bows and some third bombs and maybe a third slingshot, and some bomb shoes. If I didn't say that already, which I probably did.
Oh, it's just a piece. Okay, wow.
All right, well there you go. So that's the 16. Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for Tobias because I think Crossing would have gotten Requiem, which would have led him to that piece. But I think with the way it played out, it was always going to be difficult. All right, this is the YOLO play. So this is great from HollowLogic. HollowLogic knows that the rest of Spirit, there's no way it can be a 22. So we're just playing for all 3, and if it's in Shadow Temple, then obviously we were never getting there anyway. So might as well go to the one place that is of question mark depth, and that is Forest Temple.
Yeah, I actually really like this play, and I wouldn't really be surprised if within a few minutes it's the dot done for the 3rd piece.
Yeah, so we have a missing in action Ruda's letter, and we know that Ruda's letter locks forest access. So if Ruda's letter is somewhere especially ridiculous, like in Shadow Temple, for example, or behind Hammer in Fire Temple, and who knows where Hammer is, then this could potentially be really, really deep. But I just want to compliment HollowLogic on his play the seed. I think this is really, really good decision making and just really good plays overall and understanding the logic. And it's no accident that he got the number 1 seed from the qualifier. He's absolutely showing that he's, I'd say, one of the favorites for this tournament.
Yeah, he's looking very strong. Even with that ice play that didn't really pay out, although it did give him the information that forest might be deep.
Yeah, and in a scene with these path counts, you just know you're going to be in it for the long haul anyway, so you're more free to take risks like that. And while I guess technically it didn't pay off, the knowledge that Sarius was there is still really good information. And now, an hour later, actually close to an hour and a half later, HollowLogic is taking advantage of that knowledge by making a good situational play.
Yeah, even if we hadn't on ice at this point, I think we still would have been able to reason out that Sarias would be either behind Shadow or in ice. Probably not in the crater.
One of the nice things about Season 2 is that all the spoiler logs for the seeds unlock when the race finishes. So if you want to know what the actual answer was to all this nonsense, stick around for another 18 minutes, and we will reveal all the secrets in the interview.
Yeah, I think one of the main questions right now is where is Rudos? Because I don't see any much more possibilities for the piece than, okay, maybe Shadow itself. It's probably just going to be in Forest, actually. I'm really feeling it.
I think it's actually still most likely to be Shadow. We don't have a Shadow path, which means that Rudos and Shadow is pretty unlikely. And we actually have an Iron Boots hint. If the Triforce piece is here, then I'm foolish. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Well, there's another dungeon that is really, really deep. But anyway, so to my point earlier, we have, I believe it was Epona's Locke's Iron Boots. So Iron Boots have to be pathed somehow, and that's unaccounted for. And the most logical thing that that's actually pathed for would be just for Water Temple to get Nocturne. So to me, it seems likely that Nocturne is required somehow. And if Nocturne leads to Rudos, then we would expect to have a Shadow Temple path somewhere, and we have not found one. So to me, that just indicates that the Triforce piece itself is probably in Shadow Temple.
Oh, okay.
We'll know for sure.
That's actually smart, yeah. Did we find all our hints? Did it confirm that Shadow is not does not have an item?
But I mean, HollowLogic is still smart for trying Forest, because even though it's low probability, there's just no way that you're going to be able to make it into Shadow Temple, beating Spirit, Water, and Fire in like 20 minutes, missing Longshot, Irons, and Hammer. Like, it's not happening.
Yeah, maybe you need all those items on the bosses themselves. Even then, it's going to be almost impossible. I wonder if Hollow is just going to chill if nothing here in Forest.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe you. I don't even know what you would even consider doing. Like, I'm trying to think of anything that you can get to out of logic, and I'm coming up empty. But yeah, I don't think he'll quit, but he might give up inside.
So what was the time for HollowLogic's second piece again?
About 15 minutes ago, right? Or it was less than that, because he found the piece and he came right to Forest. So I want to say maybe like 7 or 8 minutes ago.
I wonder if Tobias might have beaten Hollow the second piece if the crossing worked out.
I think it would have been tough, because Tobias at that point still needed to do Dodongos.
I think he found it at like 1:30, right?
Yeah.
10-minute time loss. I mean, he might just have gotten it then.
Yeah, because even then, like, at that time, there was still a lot that Tobias needed to do, even in order to get the piece in Spirit, because he would still need to go Child, get the key from Child, go Adult, then go DMT, get the Strength 3, do Dodongos, and then make it all to Light Trial. So there's like, there's a lot of stuff that had to be done at that point.
I also needed to grab the hook shot, I guess, or wasn't maybe needed.
And the hookshot wasn't actually needed, but potentially could have found a slingshot for sure. Although with the bomb shoes, it wouldn't be required to do Child Spirit as long as Tobias knows the setup for that.
So what's the plan of Tobias right now? Maybe checking field?
Yeah, Tobias has not been to Minuet, so this could be an adult SFM play, which unfortunately will lead to more bad news for Tobias because I'm sure Tobias is hoping for Requiem on Minuet, and will be disappointed.
Yeah, Tobias actually only has Serenade out of all warp songs, which does not make great movement to seed. Tobias remembers the storms check here where you run past a couple of times already. Yeah, it's hard to give any good advice at this point in the race. It's basically hoping for us to have a piece so that we can finish. Oh, Gannis is actually double path. Didn't know that.
Not super surprising. I believe we've confirmed that the slingshot there has to be path as well. And the fire arrows seem very likely to be path too. But yeah, I mean that's pretty gross to have two dungeon paths leading to so fire arrows, a slingshot. We had another dungeon path for lens, pretty disgusting. And there's just got to be a ton of stuff in the overworld. We do have a crater path to wisdom, which means that all of the dungeon items in the seed are hinted. So there's just got to be like a ton of stuff on the overworld, probably locked by bombs. Probably like the second hook shot. I'm a little bit suspicious of Spirit Trial, actually. Seems like there could be a lot of overlaps with these hints. We did have a double well overlap hint. Maybe there could be a Ganon's one as well for like maybe a long shot in Spirit Trial or something like that.
Yeah, that would be a little bit gross, especially since we've been there a few times already.
I just don't know where long shot could end up being. We know that that hookshot locks long shot, but there's not a whole lot of overworld locations that are actually long shot locked, because the lake checks are available with beans, and I'm drawing a blank on anything else. I mean, I guess maybe top of fortress potentially, but that's it.
I mean, anything in fire at the moment would also be hookshot locked.
Yeah, that's true. For now.
But yeah, fire is not likely to have many checks for you without the hammer.
That is true, though. Yeah, so that hookshot does get you across the bridge, and decent chance that that's the only way across the bridge, seeing that Hover's likely buried pretty deep, and Bolero is buried so far, it might as well be in the center of the earth.
That's a good one. I might steal that at some point.
Well, HollowLogic getting an arrow refill there. Going to be helpful to continue to the rest of this dungeon, but as we approach the end, we got 7 minutes till this seed is going to put us out of our misery, or we're going to put the seed out of its misery, however you want to look at it. But having HollowLogic pretty safe to be taking this first game. These are best of 3 series, so there will be a game 2 between Tobias and HollowLogic later on. I don't have the schedule up handy in front of me, but
It is actually game 2.
this is actually game 2?
Yeah, Hollow won the first one by an hour difference or so.
That's right. So forget everything that I just said. That's fake news. So it looks like HollowLogic going to be advancing 2-0 into the next round of this group. And these groups all have 4 people, with 2 people advancing. And from there, we'll have the brackets. But Tobias probably heading to the elimination match, but will not be knocked out yet. We'll have another best of 3 and a chance to show his skills.
Yep, and these runners will play the winner and the loser of the match between myself and Velvet.
Ah, there is some scouting.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
That's smart. That's next level gameplay right there.
I was also impressed by HollowLogic's first appearance against Tobias. I think it was like a 3-8-8 with 2 pieces in spirit. And he did it really well, so power.
Yeah, Hollow definitely plays, I say, very aggressively. And I don't think it rewards him every single seed, but I think in a lot of seeds it serves him well. And I think his decision-making really paid off in this seed. And especially in a seed that maybe against someone more experienced, where the tiebreaker could have really played a big role. I think he would have performed very well compared to the vast majority of runners in a seed that's difficult. Looks like a small chest. I can't really tell for sure, but yeah. So that's probably the end of Forest. We got 5 minutes left, HollowLogic, or where are we going?
Tobias also seems like he doesn't want to try anymore, or maybe cannot try anymore. Maybe get our guesses in for which check-in shadow it's going to be.
So maybe we will get our DMC peak before the seed ends. We've been baited so many times into thinking that it was coming, and well, it's finally here now that it doesn't matter at all. Oh yeah, that valley hint was in, or the crater hint was in valley, which is a horrible location for it, and that's actually a terrible location for such an important hint, because that hint would basically suggest that Overworld's very strong. Not that it would matter. I don't think anybody's getting 3 pieces of the seed, but still, there's a song there. It's worth a peek, right?
Did we have more Overworld hints? I don't remember.
Well, just the fact that Crater is on Wisdom, which is the 22 path, means that there can't be like any extra dungeon items other than the hinted ones. So by the converse of that, it means that Overworld has to have a lot of path items.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. I have to pay attention to that in my own races as well.
It's one of those things that ends up being very important in seeds that are very long, or with very high path counts. You kind of look for, do I have any Overworld hint locations? And Prelude. Well, that's not the path item. So there's going to be some item here that we're not going to see because HollowLogic is going into Fire Temple. So Guess you'll have to wait 3 more minutes to find out.
Fire is not deep enough into the path count, but then again, it can only be in dungeons, so...
And for all we know, it could be behind Hammer on the Crater Fairy, so potentially, even if HollowLogic went for the checks there, we might not see it anyway.
Well, that's a sub 2-hour hookshot for Tobias.
It's been that kind of seed.
Maybe you are more used to seeing this on the Ocarina minigame?
Well, there's some history there, and I think the problem was that I didn't see it on the Ocarina minigame.
Ah, okay. 2 minutes left, and then we will know all the answers.
So I'm sure a lot of people will be rushing to grab the spoiler log once it unlocks, but we just for the sake of restream value, please don't share spoilers in stream until we get the runners in for the interview, just so that we can all enjoy the surprise together. You're certainly welcome to read it, but just don't share it in chat.
Shall I leave the spoiler log to you, Ela?
Yeah, I'll pick it up once it's available.
Do we have time for maybe Hammer on Shadow Pot or the Gorn City Pot?
Yeah, as long as long as we dunk the bomb in there, should be time to pick it up. That was not it.
I think we won the last chance.
That looks good to me.
Looks okay, yeah. Oh! That's the baby sword.
Well, that's... I mean, that's in logic, so that's... Deku is not very deep now.
It's actually Sphere 2 or so. Just see how I'm bomb locked.
And HollowLogic going out with a with a smush. I think it's a very fitting way to wrap this one up. So that is the end. We'll see if we can get the runners in here for a commiseration on what was a really rough seed. And congratulations to HollowLogic, who will be advancing to the group winners match.
Impressive run by HollowLogic there. GG's.
I'm pretty sure HollowLogic is just going to rant for like 10 minutes about how much this seed sucked. And it might not just be HollowLogic, it might be both of them.
It is actually the reason I play this game, for seeds that suck.
All right, we've got HollowLogic in here. How are you doing? Did you brain melt?
No, I'm pretty sure I've got it mostly solved, but that was not what I would call a fun time.
It was definitely a very difficult seed. So while we're still waiting for the spoiler log to unlock, where do you think Wisdom is?
Either Shadow or Jabu.
Checks out.
I could see it being Shadow behind OOT, but I could also see Ruda's letter being Step 20, Saria's song in Ice 21, and then Boomerang in Forest 22 would work out perfect.
GG's also to you, Tobias.
GG's. So I'm assuming that Hollow didn't get stuck in Wasteland for 10 minutes.
No.
No, that's good. Because I mean, please tell me that there was a piece in Spirit.
There was.
Yeah, I figured. It it really turns out that a setup that you haven't done for a few months is a setup that you don't know anymore.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I couldn't get past the sand pit. I abandoned my attempts after 10 minutes. But yeah, GG's, congratulations. That was a clean sweep, Hollow.
That was a seed, man. That was a
Oh,
seed.
God. How about that Pat slingshot?
Pat
Which,
slingshot in Shadow Trial too, sure.
excuse me, what? Oh yeah, right. Shadow Trial 2 with no hookshot, no hovers, no nothing, just fire arrows and hope.
Had
And
had a slingshot and then slingshot on target in the woods. Yay, so fun.
hookshot, yeah. Uh,
Okay, I
how did
have
you
the
get that?
spoiler log. Would you like the goods?
Sure.
Yes, do tell. My guess, so for the 16, did you get the 16-step piece? Look, so power, or did you get the
I
22-step
got
Hollow?
power. I got courage and power.
Power, okay. Yeah, so where's the 22? Is it behind Nocturne?
It is. It is definitely behind Nocturne. It is in Shadow Temple, like we all expected.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
Uh,
not terribly surprised. Like I said, it was that or it was going to be Jabu, and I just kind of face dove on Forest at the end with knowing Saria's song was your only logical access inside ice, and Rudo's was just missing. So I'm like, might as well give this a shot.
So there's a few
yeah.
items here that we didn't find that would have been necessary to get you all the way to Shadow Temple. We needed the iron boots, which were in Gerudo Valley in the big chest there behind Hammer. Actually, in DMC, we had the hammer that was in the crater wall.
Okay.
So that was
Oh, dadgummit.
there was
I
actually a hint
almost
for
went there.
that in Valley, which was not very helpful. Um,
I never did DMC. I literally phase dove into fire just because I'm like, okay, I'm never gonna be able to finish. I might as well at least see what the fire path might have been.
By the way, the Valley hint was. I thought that was another unlock hint. Wasn't that Wasn't that our confirmation that it was a path slingshot?
I believe the Valley hint was the DMC hint for wisdom.
Oh yeah. You're right.
I never got that hint.
Yeah,
I didn't get a
it's
lot of
a
hints.
really
This year.
important hint in a really bad location, so kind of unfortunate. So we got a few other things that we missed here. DMT Fairy had Dins,
Okay.
so you could have potentially picked that up after getting Hammer. And then Fire Temple actually had the long shot in the Boulder Maze shortcut, so reasonably deep there. Hovers on Shoot the Sun,
Oh boy.
Uh-huh.
disgusting. And then that's pretty much all you would need to ultimately track down Nocturne and get into Shadow. That's never happening.
No.
Not in
God,
2
no.
hours. No.
Also, honorable mention to the Kokiri sword that was just found before the end in the Goron pot.
Yup.
I knew all Ganon's castle access. Like, the power had me tripped up for a little bit when I found it in Light Trial. I'm like, hold up. So I'm missing 3 steps. Does that mean I'm looking at a 3-step Ganon's castle access? Which, yeah.
Yeah. It was. Oh gosh, what was it?
Epona bow bomb bag.
Hmm. Yeah, this seed can go in the vault all the way in the back.
Yeah, don't roll me seeds anymore, Tobias. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So we did have a very good race from our position. So the two of you did a couple of different things. Tobias went to GGG first, cleared the center even before HollowLogic found the first piece in Light Trial. Could have gone either way from our position for quite a long time.
Oh yeah.
If this, I'll be honest. If I had my setup, like if I had that setup actually, down to cross the wasteland, I think I wouldn't feel too bad about losing even, but I think I would have even had a chance.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Would have been less than 5 minutes, the difference between the two of you for the second piece.
Yeah.
Oh, that was. Oh boy. Shout out
But
to the
yeah,
bomb choosing Goron Maze. Holy cow.
quick question: was Spirit clearable without a hookshot?
Yes.
There was only one key on child side for the first 4 checks.
Was there Requiem available?
It
Requiem
was
was
vanilla.
Vanilla. Okay, of course. Yep, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, was about my thoughts on it. I'm like, oh boy, fun.
Well,
Yeah.
any final thoughts on the
Oh.
seed?
I think I see. I'm just going to assume at this point that any seed with a path count above 20 is cursed, but also likely has stuff behind OOT.
Or Burning Keg, yeah.
Yeah, or Burning Cack for that matter. And I think I'm going to go and drill some Haunted Wasteland setups.
All right. Good luck for the rest of it, Tobias.
Same to you, Hollow. I think you are on to great things.
I hope.
Do we know who you're facing yet?
No, I don't think they've played yet.
It's actually the Hollow is facing the winner between Velvet and me,
Well, good
Yeah.
luck, Matt.
and you will face the loser between the two of us, Tobias.
Whew. Just
I
glad
reiterate what I just said.
All right. Well,
Ooh.
congratulations to the both of you on surviving this seed without completely melting your brains. And best of luck, HollowLogic, to you in the upcoming winners match, and Tobias in the I guess the elimination match coming up. And thank you to my fellow commentator, mathemaat, which I probably butchered again, but sorry. And then to our trackers, Mel and Baseball, you are both the best. And Vaiva, I think. Hope I said that correctly. I apologize.
Ava.
All right. And also to our restreamer, Hell Knight, he's cool. Any final words, Matt?
Yeah, just saying thanks again for the great race, and glad to be with you on comms today, Ila. It was very much